Hey everybody, Bill Sky the Java Guy back again for another video, and today we're going to do user keyboard input. Very basic input using the console, nothing GUI yet, nothing graphical yet. So we're just going to mess around with keyboard input, really good for getting your program working, testing it, getting user input in there and processing it. You don't even really need a GUI, but it's up to you how you're going to be doing it. So let's just jump right into user input. Okay, so I'm on Linux again. Again, it doesn't matter what operating system you're on, just does not matter whatsoever. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new project, and I'm going to call this one keyboard input. And let's go ahead and start editing it. All right, let me close off. That's one thing I don't like about Geany. A lot of editors are doing this. They reopen all of your files, and I know there's a place in Geany to turn that off. I need to get around to that. But okay, so before we can do user input, let's go ahead and create some variables. Okay, let's do it there. So I'm going to create a string. Let's say first name. Let's create another string, last name. Let's create an integer, age in years. We're going to do integers, doubles, everything else. Let's do a double, hourly income. Let's do another one, days a week. And you're going to see why I'm doing all this, hours per day. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a little program that's going to have the user enter in their first and last name, how old they are, their hourly income, how many days a week they work, and then hours per day. It's a little salary calculator. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. So let's say Java C. We'll just say Java. And okay, looking good. All right, now, the first thing that you need to do when you're going to be doing any kind of keyboard input. Now this has changed over different versions of Java, but the most reasonable or the most accepted way of doing it today is using a scanner. Now to get scanner to work, you have got to import some libraries, much like you would do at a pound include in C or C++, or how you do it in Python. So I'm going to say import java.util.asterisk. And that's how you get a hold of the scanner class. And then we're just going to say scanner keyboard input equals a new scanner. And I want the data to come from the system.io, the standard input, keyboard input. So that's what we're going to do there. Okay, let's save and build that. Oh, I'm sorry, not system IO, it should be system in. Standard in, system input. All right, looks good. Okay, now let's go ahead and have the user type in their first and last name. So let's say first name equals keyboard input dot next line. And let's go ahead. Oh, we really should output something first. So system.out.println. Please enter your first name. And let's do the same thing with the last name. Let's save and build this and test it. Oh, forgot a parenthesis. Okay, Bill Sky, the computer guy. All right, seems to be working. And let's go ahead and put a welcome. try that out again. Forgot a T there. Okay, looking good. Now let's talk about this before we move on. Keyboard input is the variable that we created. If my mouse would work here. Keyboard input is the variable that we created up here. It is an object, it is an instance of the class scanner. Now we'll be talking more about object-oriented programming, classes and objects, all kinds of stuff in future videos. But scanner is a class. You could think of it kind of like a group of functions that are under the scanner banner. And by saying new, we're saying we want to create a new scanner, and we want to put that pointer into keyboard input variable. So right there we're saying, hey, keyboard input, get the next line. That means all the data up to the enter key, or the return or the new line key, and put that data into first name. Now, one thing to notice here is there's Bill Sky. Bill Sky. However, getLine can get an entire line including all spaces. So if I ran this program again and I said Bill Sky, the Java guy, notice how it took all the spaces. It grabbed every single space that I entered. And that's different than some other scanner type things like in C++, where as soon as it sees a space, it stops. So you have to use a special function. I think it's getLine. But that is what nextLine does. It grabs everything in there, and very, very useful. Okay, so that is getting text, getting a string and putting it in there. Now, what are some of the other things that the scanner does? Well, let's take a look at that. I always love going to the Java documentation, and you should get really used to this. So I'm going to go into docs.oracle.com, English, Java, Java SE, and we're working on 21, so let's get 21. And we're going to go to API documentation. I'm going to go to the base class, and I'm going to go to Lang. Or actually, should we go to util? Let's find this. Yes, let's go to util. Now, how do I know to go to util? Is because when I look at my code, I had to load the java.util. So scanner is inside of that, and then I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to look for scanner. There it is right there. And I'm going to come down here to all the functions, and here's all the functions. Has next string, has next big decimal. We're going to talk about some of these. So these are all of the functions. Now let's go down and take a look at next, because that is what we're doing, and you can see them all right here. I can say next byte, next double, next float, next int, next line, which is what we've just used, next long. Those are all the functions. Now if I click on next long, some of these give you nice little examples and some of them don't, but we're going to take a look at it right now. Okay, so that is where you can find that data, or where you can find the API. So now let's say system.out.println, you please enter your age in years. So let's do now we don't want to do an ln, and let me show you why. So you can, it's not a problem, but notice when we said please enter your first name, the entry went down to the next line. So instead of ln, let's stop using ln, let's just say print, because ln ends the line and goes to the next. So let's get rid of the ln's on the data input. All right, and I'm going to say age in years equals keyboard input dot get int, and my system dot out dot println you are, let's put in parentheses, age in years times 12 number of months. You are, let's say you are about all right. And I probably forgot a semicolon or something. So it says here, would you please enter? Oh, forgot a semicolon. That's exactly what I did. Oh, it's not get int, it's next int. Sorry about that. Just remembered that from the documentation. All right, Bill Sky. Let's say I'm 60 years old. Holy crap. I've been around for 720 months. I'm not going to say exactly how long I've been around. But anyway, so cool. So that's getting our integer. All right. Let's go ahead and get a double. So my system.out.print how many days a week, how many days a week do you work at your job? Now I'm going to go ahead and fill in all of those variables. So I'm going to say days a week equals, and that was an integer, so keyboard input dot get the next int, how many hours per day do you work? Now really what I would be doing is I would probably be testing out each one of these as I finished them. And I believe this is also an int. And system.out.print what is your hourly rate? And I believe that's a double. So let's say next double. Okay, let's say system.out.println you make plus, put in parentheses, hourly income times hours per day times days a week times 52. That's assuming no vacation. Let's go to the next line. A year with no time off. Okay, so a little calculator there. I'm not surprised at all. Let me see, hours per day. I think that should be uppercase. All right, Bill Sky. I'm 60 years old. How many days a week do you work? I'm going to work 5 days a week. How many hours per day do you work? 8. What is your hourly pay rate? $29.99. Okay, cool. So you make $62,379.2 a year. You might put a dollar sign in there or something like that. Okay. Something else that I would really recommend that you not do is what I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to show it to you because it's possible you can do it, but I really recommend that you not do it. Please enter days a week, hours per day, and hourly pay rate. I I don't think you're going to like this when you see it. So what I'm going to do is you can ask them in a single prompt. And then you can grab out of the scanner each one of those like that. And the reason why that works is that when you type in the days a week and you put a space, it's going to grab the number up to that space and then stop the scanner and then stop. Then when I say days per week, it's going to start back up where it ended on the days a week, and it's going to grab that number until it sees a space. I'm not sure about commas, but spaces works great, and same way with income. And I'm going to put in here pay rate separated by spaces, or by a space. And then it should print the exact same number. Okay? Now this is, you're going to see why this is bad. Okay, so Bill Sky, 60. Okay, I work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, $29.99. All right, now it says enter the days a week, hours per day, and hourly pay rate separated by a space. Okay, so let's say 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, $29.99. All right, it worked. And I've never tried it with commas. You could do that. There might be more coding involved. But in other languages, it lets you do stuff like this too. I really recommend that you don't do that. It's better to lead the user. Lead the user. Ask them every question. Just make it super, super simple for them. They don't have to worry about whether they put a space in there or a comma. You don't have to put all these instructions in there. So I think it's a really bad idea to do that, but it is possible. Okay, now let's do a little bit of error checking here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say system.out.println. Please enter an integer. Enter a string to test. Okay, you're going to see what I'm talking about in just a moment. So I'm going to ask the user to type an integer, and then I'm going to type a non-integer. I put that in there just to remind me to do that. And let me see, I'm going to say age in years. Age in years equals keyboard input dot next int. And I probably forgot a semicolon again, exactly what I did. And actually, I'm getting tired of having to enter all this stuff in, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment all of this out. I believe I can do that. Oops. Well, let's comment all that out with a /*. The reason I'm doing that is I don't want to have to type it in every single time. Okay? So let's go ahead and put a space there, /*, and then we'll come down here, */. All right, great. Move that in there to make it easier. Okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, please enter integer, ABC. Ugh. So what happened is that I tried to grab an integer out of the scanner, the keyboard buffer, but it wasn't. It was characters. So it didn't know what to do. It just vomited all over itself. The program just ended. Didn't even end gracefully. So one way to check whether the user actually typed an integer is I can say if keyboard input dot has next int. I want to know, is there a next int in the keyboard input? Now this is the first time that I've taught if statements in Java, so bonus, right? So if keyboard input has next int, so you're asking, is there an integer in the keyboard buffer? If there is, I'm going to read it. Else, if there's not an integer in there, I'm going to say system.out.println error. Let's make it Now, once I tell them that they haven't typed an integer, I want to clear out the buffer because they typed something in wrong. So I'm going to say keyboard input dot reset. And I'm going to close off the if statement. And what reset does is it clears out the buffer, so there's no more errors. All right, let's put in ABC. Error, you didn't type an integer. So the program didn't just die horribly. The program ended normally, but because we asked if there was an integer inside the keyboard buffer before we actually read it, it allowed me to do that. You can do something else. You can just, let's do that output of the age. I'm just going to copy it from up here. So you can put multiple lines. Now, I'm going to have a video on Java decision making. But for right now, that's just what it looks like. Okay, 58. All right, great. Again, you may not want to put that LN there because it went to the next line. And that looks a little bit better. Okay, so a little bit of error checking on that data input. All right, so that is basic keyboard input. Should be more than enough to get you started. Take a look at that documentation. Just follow it. It's actually very easy. There's even some examples there. Now you've got the ability to enter data into your Java program to better test your code. Until the next video, keep on coding in Java.